Awesome, it looks like we're recording now. And I'm going to share my screen. Come on. Okay. Can you all see this presentation?
Yes.
Awesome.
I can.
Okay. If at any point something goes away, just let me know, and then I'll try to find it, bring it up again. Okay, so welcome to Outdoor Artists, guys. This class is inspired by UNM's outdoor studio class with Rachel Stein. I will make the point that this isn't really a class. It's solely intended to be a support / critique / social group. And I can offer limited guidance when it comes to helping people paint if it's needed. But artists are generally expected to be self-sufficient and experienced. But non-artists, beginners, and other peers, of course, are welcome to come along for the social aspect of it. And I also wanted to say that while I am the organizer, I am always open to the ideas, suggestions, and contributions of everyone in the group. Don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything you want to incorporate into it. And if you want to be a co-organizer, reach out. The help would be greatly appreciated. So we'll go ahead and get into meeting times and duration. Approximately 3 hours, more or less, is about the times that I had planned for these meetups. And I think they'll be once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on whether I'm out of town or not. If there is a co-organizer that wants to help, then it will probably be a more consistent thing. But the times designated that I had were weekends in the mornings, afternoons will also work, weekends, and then weekdays anytime after 3 p.m. So whoever wants to join those times, people aren't expected to join consistently. It's just whatever time works for them, because that's how Meetup works. And then how these meetings are to go, I kind of had in mind the first half hour, we'll meet all together, we'll kind of wander and observe the space. And then the next 2 hours maybe will be designated for art making. And then in the final half hour, we will share what we worked on with each other and offer feedback. And for anyone who needs it, I was gonna quickly go over setups, and this is my personal setup. I know some people may not have access to an easel. I have the super easy foldable easel that I like to attach to like a hiking bag. But this is pretty heavy, so some days I go even lighter. And you actually do not need an easel to be making art outdoors, and I'll show you later how that works. But this is, again, to show my personal setup. These are different sites that I've been to. Just to give you, sometimes I'm sitting down in a super simple foldable chair. And I actually fit my easel and the chair into just a chair bag, like one of those foldable chair bags that I recycled. Or sometimes I'm also standing. This is Aaron Zolpo. Some of these pictures I snatched from the adventure painting Instagram. It's a traveling artist residency. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but Aaron Zolpo, I think he's living in New York, but I met him on one of my outdoor studio classes back at UNM. But this is his setup. He works, notice how it's like sitting down, whereas in mine, I like to have it more vertical. But so there really is no wrong or right way to do this. This is my old professor, Rachel Stein, how her setup looks. She just has a chair, and what she does, she works in acrylic or gouache, I think. But she just tapes the paper to like a cardboard sheet, and then she sits with it in her lap in a chair. And this is also taken from the adventure painting Instagram, just to give you kind of an idea of if we ever were in a public space and there was like one of those picnic tables, we could set up like this potentially. Another example of how you might want to set up. All right, and just some things to think about. For visual mediums, think about what scale you want to work at. What is most comfortable and viable for you? The materials you want to use. I use oil and small canvas panels. That's what I love to do and what works best for me. But there's also people who choose watercolor and paper, people who do charcoal. If you're a photography or even a film person, what think about what kind of camera or setting you want to use. Clay is both a visual medium and a sculpt 3D medium, I guess. So if you wanted to sculpt there, what kind of clay would you be using? What kind of shapes would you want to be making? And then I wanted to emphasize that the subject matter does not have to be the setting we are in. You can work on any art that you want. It doesn't have to be based on the land that we're visiting. For non-visual mediums, what kind of instruments do you want to bring? If you want to work in writing or poems, what kind of style, stuff like that. And then if you're a sound recording artist, that'd be really cool just to record sounds of birds and see what kind of digital medium you want to work with. And know your limitations and comforts. I recommend packing as light as you can because sometimes we may hike for long periods of time. But artists are free to roam wherever they want at our locations, so long as they stay on the trail, of course. They do not have to go where the group is going or stay the entire time. And I also wanted to point out that group members are responsible for their own supplies, setups, and necessary items such as food and transportation for all needs. And then some questions to think about. Kind of why I started this group in the first place. Why do you want to make art outdoors? What does your art mean to you? And what does being outdoors mean to you? How does making art outdoors influence your studio art practice? What are your goals with your art? And what do you hope to get out of this group? And these could be questions that we talk about as a group in later meetings. They could just be rhetorical for now. If you just want to sit with these questions and think about why you're here. All right, and getting into locations quickly. Most of our locations will be in Albuquerque. If later, when it's warmer, if we want to do locations outside of the Albuquerque area, I plan for like Santa Fe, Jemez area. But these are some of my favorite places around Albuquerque. This is Siphon Beach in Corrales. I don't know if any of you have been there. There's always this is my owl friend. He's always there in his little hole in the tree. It is such a beautiful bosque, little riparian area that I love to go to. This is from earlier this fall. And then I think this is from September, these pictures I took. This another location, the Los Ranchos trails, the Acequia trails, and then also Casa Rondena Winery. If any of you have been there, it has this beautiful backyard to it. They have violinists playing there some days. It's just lovely. And along these trails, these gorgeous Acequia trails, there's peacocks, there's snakes, there's owls, there's all kinds of creatures, and it's just so peaceful. Really beautiful in the summertime. The petroglyphs, of course. And the Sandia Mountains, foothills, Pino Trail, and Embudito Trail are some of my favorites. And then the Albuquerque Biopark. I did work there for a short time and know my way around there. There's some beautiful areas in there, and then a ton of birds for any of you that might like to paint wildlife. These black crowned night herons are always sitting around the duck pond there. Or wait, this is actually at the zoo, I think. Well, I've seen night herons at the gardens too, so I'm not lying. Sandia, Crest, and Kiwanis Cabin. It is a hidden gem for people who have lived in Albuquerque for a long time. I'm sure so many have gone here. For those of you who are newer, might not know about this, it's a beautiful little cabin on top of the mountain. And it is treacherous to be up there, so we'll have to be very safe if we do go there. And then some other locations, some beautiful places that are of this region. The East Fork Trail in the Jemez, which is this picture on the right. Old Town Albuquerque, Battleship Rock, the White Mesa Badlands, which earlier in this presentation, if you notice like that reddish area I was painting in, that's where that is. Bandelier National Monument, and then these, the Salinas Pueblo missions, there's some ruins near Abo. And also, if you have a suggested favorite location or a favorite spot to go, feel free to share, and we could definitely plan to go there, because this isn't just my favorite spots. It's open to everyone else's too. All right, and then just some outdoor rules. Always stay on the trails, leave no trace, and leave trails cleaner than you found them. Respect the wildlife and restoration areas, and then no drinking or drugs of any kind. We don't need those. We're outdoors. And bring plenty of water, sunscreen, food, and appropriate clothing. And this is optional for people if people want to. Oh, give me 1 minute. It looks like someone is trying to join. Yes, Judy. Awesome. All right. Hello, Judy.
Sorry, I was late.
You're good. You're fine. I'm about halfway through the presentation. I've already started, but I will post the link for you to catch up on what I've already covered.
Okay, no problem.
Awesome. And so getting back to this, these reading/convo starters are completely optional. I love listening to this podcast on Spotify. You can find it anywhere where podcasts are found. It's On Being with Krista Tippett. And there are all kinds of spiritual, moral, and cultural discussions that take place on that podcast. And then also the Marginalian. It is formerly known as Brain Pickings, but it's owned by this remarkable woman. She does the whole website herself, and it's just like a labor of love. And it has all kinds of articles on art, philosophy, science, and poetry. And then book excerpts. I'll also be, if ever we want to talk about, I could bring books just to discuss things like that. And for these things, I will probably, before we do the meetups, or on the week of, I will post like a link to whatever it is, and then people are welcome to visit it and then read it and then come with whatever discussion they want to have. Part of the reason I created this group is also to foster an Indigenous relationship / bioregionalist perspective to the land. For those of you who aren't familiar with bioregionalism, it's basically, well, it is both a science and a model for community. And it kind of asserts that beyond the life of individuals, there is the life of a place. And it relies on the observation and recognition of that place and the complex web of relationships that are amongst its inhabitants. So basically the opposite of what society sees nature as, kind of a very spiritual way of relating to the land. And is that, oops, sorry, I'm not in full view. Okay. All right, and I don't know if any of you made note that I mentioned these apps in like kind of the flyer for this group. These are optional as well. These are just free educational apps that I like to use when I'm observing a new environment I'm in. Mainly iNaturalist is what I use. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but I included in this presentation just a brief, if any of you were interested, in how to go about using these apps. This is how I learn about the land and just give names to like the creatures and the plants that I encounter. So this is what it looks like when you first open the app. These are all my observations. And so basically, if you wanted to do the same thing that I do and learn about like just like you don't even know the name of something and you just want to find that out, you would hit this observe button down here and it will take you to your camera. You take the camera or take the picture, or you can upload something from your gallery, your camera, your photos. I can't think today. And then it will upload, and then you could click on this, and it has like an AI. It detects whatever it is you're trying. It's not always accurate, I will say that, but it basically detects what you are looking at, and then it gives you information and links you can follow to learn more about it. I love using this app because there's been like, it just introduces so many new characters that have always been there, but I never noticed them. So when I learned the names, I like started seeing everything more and more. And I don't know if I'd even like know how to find owls if I hadn't started using this app. So I love it, but this is optional for whoever wants to use it. All right, and so are there any questions by anyone so far? That is the end, so. No questions?
I guess a request is to possibly do some sunsets or sunrises. That was something that I was interested in painting.
Yes, absolutely. And part of the thing about those is they're so ephemeral and so they're the most challenging. But I like that is definitely something that I am down to do and schedule meetings around those times too, sunrise and sunset. So yes, I will look into that. But yeah, I guess other than that, I guess I just wanted to share that it is a real challenge if you've never plein air painted or worked outdoors before and actually tried to capture the scene itself, and like not done your own art, but you're working with what's in front of you. It is very challenging. It's very uncomfortable, and that to me is part of the reason why I do it. And it just informs my studio practice in a lot of ways. But we could go ahead and get into introductions now. I'll go ahead and stop recording.